Good morning, Acadiana. Dave Schultz with the Schultzycast, episode 16, Acadiana Sports Show. Moved a little quicker got up a little faster this morning. Moved a little quicker. Still need to be working out by 5:30. Lift by 5:40. In and out of the shower by 6:30 would be a big help. Sort of still sweating through the shirt. All right, so lots to talk about today. Cajuns win. Cajuns still streaking. 14 in a row, ties a conference record. This Friday night game against Coastal is huge. We can have the Cajuns attendance discussion, which went back and forth on Friday. Notice there wasn't much Cajuns attendance discussion on Saturday and Sunday. LSU is in big trouble, and Pelicans with a bad loss. And easy Masters win for Scotty Scheffler. Everyone else kind of folded. He didn't. And I think the whole wife question was a nice sports talk question. I happen to think that she was cut off. That's what I think. Again, going back to last week, I think there was a time limit if he was in contention. If she's calling Sunday morning and get there, okay. But if he's teeing off on 17, it's only going to take a half an hour. He can say thank you very much and get out of there. I'm not, what is an extra, again, he lives in Dallas. I'm not sure an extra half an hour matters. No. Anyway, Cajuns with a sweep over Marshall. Incredible pitching. Marshall's only run of the weekend was a solo home run. Back-to-back one-hit shutouts for the Cajuns. Their ERA was 7th in the nation as of Friday. It went down a third of a run, which is really good with all the innings amassed. Let's see where they rank nationally. Probably about 4th, maybe 5th. Really impressive pitching. At the same time, not exactly the 27 Yankees. Marshall's got two guys in there. Marshall's got two guys in the lineup that can hit. They got like 3 of the 5 base hits on Friday, and they're the first 2 guys. Ferrero's the shortstop. He hit the home run. But they were lost. It has not been updated yet. Through games April 11th. So it hasn't been updated yet. Cajuns right now, so we'll see when it's updated. We can compare it. 7th in the nation at ERA, 3.62. Their team ERA is down to 3.35. I know A&M swept Vanderbilt. Arkansas, 2.56. They lost the series to Alabama. I'm sure their ERA didn't go up all that much. Long Beach State is 3.33. East Carolina, 3.39, and Lamar, 3.45, and Dallas Baptist, 3.59. So we'll see where the Cajuns are. Probably moved up into that 4 or 5 spot, depending what the other guys did. Really impressive pitching. I guess the one thing that didn't happen is that there wasn't a whole lot of bullpen action, right? I mean, Andrew Herman and LP Langevin took care of Friday. JT Etheridge comes in a 1-0 game to close out Saturday, okay? And you did have Holthammer and Martinez on Sunday. Carson Fluno, kind of surprised, right? We kind of heard Matt Deggs talk about wanting to protect Chase Morgan, but not so much with Carson Fluno. That was kind of interesting. He was going to let Carson go out for the no-hitter. I appreciate that, but boy, I mean, he was going to be close to, he ended up with 106 pitches. He was going to be close to 130 by the time he was done. And then the way it was broken up, it hit the second base bag. I mean, all the analytics in the world, and guy hits an 0-2 pitch right back up the middle, and it hits the second base bag. It's not like, it'd be one thing if John Taylor wasn't there, but John Taylor was standing right there. Now, why aren't you 8 feet tall, John Taylor? So a great job by the Cajuns sweeping Marshall. Have not lost in the Sun Belt since the first game against Arkansas State, so they haven't even lost on a Friday in a month. the thing is, it's good and bad, right? The competition is going to get stiffer, but that's going to help you with your RPI, right? They went down 5 spots this week in the RPI. They went from 50 to 55. Not great, Bob, right? Because, and I'm learning this, you win on the road, it's much more impressive, all right? You see my buddy Glavin coaching Northeastern, like, did you beat Clemson and I missed it? But they beat BC, but then they went on the road in the conference. They did lose yesterday, so they dropped a little bit, but they popped at one point in time on Saturday before all the action was concluded. They were 28. Where the Cajuns, right, were on the road for a bunch, but haven't been on the road in a minute, right? They haven't played a road game in April. We're on April 15th. Their first road game in April is coming up tomorrow. So they took care of Texas State, swept the Bobcats, who end up not being that good. They've lost 7 out of their last 9 Sun Belt games. They got a win over ULM on Sunday to prevent the sweep. They did beat Nichols, did handle ULM. The hitting started to turn kind of oddly enough against Prairie View A&M when they won 11-2. I kind of felt like they were sleepwalking through that game. They added 4 runs in the 8th, could have ruled them, so we've had to play at the top of the 9th. And it just kind of felt like they were sleepwalking during that ball game, right? It's 7-2 heading into the bottom half of the 8th. And then it came back to bite them against La Tech, where they had 10 base hits but left 11 men on base, and they ended their winning streak. The winning streak continues in the Sun Belt, where they've won 14 straight, tying South Florida of all schools, with a conference record of 14 straight wins from 1986. That's how long that record has stood. And so now they'll get to Friday. So let's talk again about this RPI deal, where they will have 3 of their final 5 series on the road. They get Coastal, Georgia Southern, and Troy are all on the road. 2 of those 3 are really tough. I think Coastal and Georgia Southern will be tough. It's going to be really good pitching against what is always tough hitting in Troy, and they got the smaller ballpark, although that's the same for both teams. And then you get South Alabama and Southern Miss at home. All right. There is this log jam for second place. See if I can do this off the top of my head. You got Coastal. Let's see. Coastal, Southern Miss, Georgia State, Georgia Southern, and Troy. I think I got them all. Are all 9-6? Is that right? I think I did that right. Troy, Georgia. Okay. The standings are wrong. Troy, Georgia Southern, Southern Miss, Georgia State, Coastal Carolina. Yeah, they had the standings wrong, then they got them right, and then they're wrong again. Yes. So I believe, so Troy, Georgia Southern, Southern Miss, Georgia State, and Coastal Carolina are all 8-7. Let's say they don't have it right there. Let's see if they have it right on Warren Nolan. That's what I think is correct. Let's see if they see if they do their own standings or if they do standings connected. They're all 9-6. So I got that right. Coastal, Troy, Southern Miss, Georgia Southern, Georgia State are all 9-6. The problem with South Alabama at the end, the Jaguars, who did get a nice conference home series win over Arkansas State, could be fighting for their tournament lives. Only the top 10 teams get into the conference tournament. And so, they're sitting tied for 9th, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams, 9th through 14, that are 6-9, 5-10, and 4-11. So that series at the end could be tricky for the Cajuns. So this is my nightmare scenario, right? The Cajuns, even if they lose 2 out of 3 to Coastal, and we'll get to the Friday night game because that's huge. Even if they lose 2 out of 3, I still think their RPI is going to go up. God forbid they actually win the series. They could be in the 30s, right? They could pop from 55 to 35. And if they're sitting in the 30s, they're getting in. My problem is what I'm afraid of is they're going to be sitting 42, 43, and they need to go on a run in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. That's all I'm afraid about. All right. Now, let me see this, the way the Sun Belt, you know, you're not going to get a Friday starter, right? If you're the Cajuns, and we'll just say for all intents and purposes, you know, they do win the regular season. All right. And so as the fourth rated conference, most people do believe that they will get in, regardless of the outcome, regardless of their RPI, and regardless of how they do in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. I want to see the championship bracket and how that works out, because obviously, yeah, if you know, well, first of all, here's the thing, right? You're really not. The first round is on a Tuesday. When does the series end? When does the regular season end? Right? It's got to end on a Saturday? Let's see here. Let me see when this regular season ends. So the regular season ends on a Saturday. So Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You're pitching on 4 days rest on Tuesday. So I'm not sure they could end up facing a Friday night starter in that second game, because he's just not ready to go on Tuesday, right? I'm not sure if anyone's going to be pitching their Friday night starter in a winner be all game on, usually you get 6 days rest in college, 4 days rest in the pros, but 6 days rest in college. So I'm not sure if you're doing it, on that thing. So, if one of the first, 4 teams that plays, will have their Friday night starter going against the Cajuns. And then, if they are in the 40s and lose that first ball game, which their Friday night starter would go on, or would it? That's the only thing. I mean, you could pitch. So is that on a Wednesday? Let's see here. Yeah, it'd be on Wednesday. You're not going to pitch Chase Morgan on short rest, so they would pitch on 5 days rest. That's more legit. So now let's get to this huge showdown on Friday with the Cajuns and Coastal Carolina. Let's see the statistics. This is probably, I don't know if it's through today or through Sunday yet. Let's see here. Overall statistics. It is through Sunday. All right. So Coastal leads the league in batting average, 304. All right. Okay. So that's all the games. They 304. Cajuns are hitting 295. And that average went down a little bit because they didn't hit much against Marshall. Okay. Pitching wise, Cajuns have that 335 ERA, and they're so dominant, they're almost a run better than the next place team. Old Dominion's got a 4.33 ERA. That's how dominant the Cajuns pitching staff is. The Coastal pitching staff is smack dab in the middle. They give up 5.5 runs a game. All right. And so maybe later on in the week, we'll start to break it down who the pitching matchups are. Here's the thing, right? So this is going to be very different facing this Coastal Carolina team than the Marshall team. Sam Antonacci is hitting 409. Blake Barthol, right? Him and Kyle DeBarge are probably the 2 top guys for Sunbelt Player of the Year, hitting 353 with 14 home runs and 42 runs batted in. But Dave, that's a small little ballpark, and not a lot of runs are scored. Yeah, I get it. And Kyle DeBarge is playing in, the Teague, where the ball did not carry Saturday and Sunday for both teams, right? He hit one on Friday. It would have been gone. He hit one against La Tech that the wind carried it out. And he hit one. There was no wind blowing in. It just didn't carry. Then you got Derek Bender hitting 341. Caden Bodine hitting 296. Jake Books hitting 320, right? You got, Zach Beach hitting 272, but 13 bombs. So this is going to be a very different. This is going to be your classic good hitting versus good pitching matchup. Pitching wise, I don't know the order of these guys. And so Alexander Meckley has got 9 starts under his belt. I guess we can go through the box scores, but he's got a 7.36 ERA. That could be one really bad start, I guess. Henry Weicker has made 3 starts. Let me see. Well, let's just go through the box scores. All right. Because this, again, Andrew Herman and LP Langevin are awesome. You have the soft stuff of Herman throwing 85 to 87, and then the blazing fastball of Langevin. It is really tough, right? And the longer Herman can go, maybe you can get Langevin to come back later on. I wouldn't want him to pitch more than 30 pitches, like 2 innings, and he may not have to do that. Neither one of them had faced a whole lot of trouble. Langevin got out of it against Texas State a couple of weeks ago, got into it and got out of it. But neither one of them had faced a whole lot of trouble recently. Let me see if we can see these box scores. I don't think they're necessarily right right now, unfortunately, on the Sunbelt page. Let's see here. All right, got to go back. Let's see here. Friday. Yeah, see these got messed up. So they have Georgia Southern beating Coastal Carolina twice, and that's not the case. Let's see if we press the first one. Coastal Carolina won the first game 7-3 with 3 in the 9th. These were at Statesboro. Let's see who threw. So that's Riley Eichhoff is 4-0. All right. So you got Riley Eichhoff. He's 4-0. Maybe they've made some changes in the rotation because it's been struggling. All right. So that's Riley Eichhoff. They did lose 10-3 in the second ball game. That was Cameron Fluke, who basically gave up the same thing. The other guy, Bryce Scheffler, came in and got rocked out of the bullpen. Cameron Fluke gave up 3 runs, 2 earned, and 4 2/3 innings. That's not awful. And then on Sunday, Coastal beat Georgia Southern 16-4 with 6 runs in the 8th for the run rule. And they had Henry Weicker 2 runs in 3 1/3 innings. So they don't have anybody really going. In fact, Alexander Meckley actually got the win in a relief. All right, so let's check out those stats again. Let me see here. Oh, hold on. Was it? No. All right. So who'd we get? We got Riley Eichhoff, who's 4-0 with a 5.44 ERA in 9 starts. So he could be pitching better. Batting average against is .311. Then you had Cameron Fluke with a 4.5 ERA, 4.36. He's actually got a save as well. And then you do have Henry Weicker with a 4.18 ERA. And that's going up against, a little bit different than the Cajuns. I mean, some of these got to be among the best in the country with the Cajuns pitching staff. I presume they're top 3 in the league. I don't know. Should probably check that out. I mean, pitching wise, Andrew Herman with a 1.91 ERA. Fantastic. Carson Fluno down to a 2.20 ERA. Chase Morgan with a 1.90 ERA. We have to see the leaders. I mean, they got to be among the league leaders. Some of these guys may not have enough innings, like the Cajuns. This is the longest that the Cajuns have gone. All right, individual. Let's see here. All right, because they were talking about quality starts for the Cajuns, like they have 4. I'm not sure that's right. But, all right, so Bryce Blevins with a 1.76 ERA. He pitched very well on Saturday against the Cajuns and lost 1-0. He got into 1 jam, and that was it. Chase Morgan is second, 1.90. Herman is third, 1.91. Luke Lyon from Troy, 2.33. And Dylan Heine from Arkansas State is 2.79. So who are we looking for? Fluno probably doesn't have enough innings pitched quite yet to qualify here. But, he keeps on going 6 or 7 no-hit baseball. He'll get in there rather quickly. So it's, again, going to be a classic matchup. Really good pitching against really good hitting. And that Friday night just sets the tone. If Herman and Langevin can go into Coastal Carolina and pitch them to a victory, and the Cajuns bats come around, now all of a sudden, they aren't getting swept. Their RPI will drop, and they can win one of the last two and win the series. Huge. If Coastal now wins, now the Cajuns are under pressure to get one of those last two. So big scene setter, a tone center on Friday for the Cajuns and Coastal. I'll also say maybe the bats for the Cajuns are starting to come around. So, my press box mate, Kevin Foote, who has all kind of weird, superstitions that, if you score a lot of runs, too many runs in one night, you're not going to score the next game. But if you say no hitter, that doesn't have any effect on what's going on the field. One's math and one doesn't count. Okay. So I think he said John Taylor, has hit the ball well, but has nothing to show for it. But that's how you can see he's starting to come around, right? Because a lot of this stuff, that's baseball, right? You can get a fluky double because the left fielder misplays it and is actually a triple and maybe should have been caught because playing way too deep for a left-handed hitter to begin with. And yet you can hit two balls on the nose and they're outs. But that's how you start to see they're barreling it up. They're seeing the baseball better. And they do have 5 games so that you get your timing back really quickly, right? They have like Monday off and they have Thursday off. And yet this is really their only day off. They will be traveling Thursday. Right, they're playing Southeastern at Southeastern on Tuesday, and then back in Lafayette on Wednesday, and then they go to Coastal on a Thursday. So we'll see if the Cajun bats can get going against Southeastern. Tough, can't be losing these midweek games to Southeastern. Puts them in a tough spot. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost one. But they're in a good spot because I think, again, even if they lose 2 out of 3. Their RPI is probably going to go up from 55 to 45, and that's a nice jump as long as you win 1. And if you win 2, then you're going to be sitting in the 30s, and you get Southern Miss coming home, and then you're going to Georgia Southern. There is, your RPI can get up there, right? If your RPI is sitting mid-30s and you're the Sun Belt Conference champion, you're getting it, right? You're sitting mid-40s and you're Sun Belt Conference champion, then I'm nervous, all right? Because it's Wright State isn't helping. Rice isn't helping. Arkansas State isn't helping. Cajun fans love to mock their rivals. They lose to La Tech. The Cajuns do. And then La Tech, loses on a, like 5 or 6 run rally in the 9th inning. And Cajun fans are all happy about it. But if La Tech beats Arizona, that helps out the Cajuns' RPI. But we'd rather mock La Tech than, care about our own RPI. That's Cajuns fans. All right, let's talk about the Cajuns fans. It is the Schultzycast. Good amount of people here. This is going to go a little bit longer than we usually do. So this attendance discussion, and I'm happy to admit I could be wrong. All right, maybe the crowds that are there on a Friday night are considered good college baseball crowds. Maybe they are. All right, and I believe me, I understand. Paid versus in-house, and everybody does paid, right? I don't have a problem with what they're announcing. Some of it's not very accurate, but I don't have a problem with that. I did notice that, Rage and Review waited until everyone was standing up on Friday night to point out how many people were there. And they announced 3,800. I thought it was closer to 2 when everyone was sitting down, but I'll say maybe 2,800. I might be able to find that out because I don't think it wasn't 4,000. All right. And I guess I'll be the first to tell you I'm disappointed. Basically, what's happened is the Cajuns built this new ballpark, but it's not attracting anybody new. Go back and look at the attendance figures in 14 when they're drawing, 35, 38, 4,000, right? It's packed house, right? So maybe even overflowing. And now they've built this great new stadium and the same people are coming, right? Nobody else is coming. It hasn't attracted anybody new. So that's a problem. I still think, so we'll up it to 3 for Friday. Maybe I think 1,500 on Saturday and 1,000 on Sunday. So maybe, what is that? 5,500, maybe. So my concern is how many people would be there if they were only winning, if they were instead of 28-9 and winners of 19 of 20, What if they were, what is that, 37? What if they were like 20 and 17, right? When this team is average, nobody's going to show up. That's the problem. And so they just haven't attracted the new crowd. And so if I am the Cajuns administration and I see a new football stadium going up, I might draw 25 a game in 2025 for the first season of that, but the same 10 to 14,000 that have been coming for the last 3 or 4 years is what's going to show up. And so I know baseball, there are reasons, not excuses, but there's certainly reasons why the program has taken a minute to get back, right? They went to the NCAA tournament 3 years in a row, 13, 14, 15, and 14, 15, 16, 2 super regionals, right? One at home and one in Baton Rouge. The one at Baton Rouge, I know the Cajuns came up short, but that was like my favorite. That's my favorite sporting event here in Louisiana. That was, it was like 5 or 6 deep at least on the concourse. And I know the Cajuns came up short, but it was still an amazing weekend tournament. And then they hosted Arizona, and unfortunately they lost that. And that's when the stadium started to get built. Took a little bit of time. That's a different story, different episode. But they weren't back in 17, 18, 19. And here's where, Tony passed away in 19. Deggs takes over in 20. COVID hits. Boom, season gone. All right. You're trying to rebound for 21. Okay. With all of that hangover, with Tony passing away, Deggs didn't really get his first season. And now you're doing it in 21. And I think that's your South Alabama one, right? But now you win the tournament in 22, have a great run in 23, and now you're 5 games up in 24. So maybe the program is getting to where it is. The other 2 things that happened was, again, COVID. That happened to everybody, and now the portal. And someone's actually suggested this to me. I don't know who it was. I gotta remember who it was. The way that LSU is going to go about getting their teams now with the NIL and the portal, that may leave more homegrown products, Louisiana kids, for the Cajuns. When you're going out and, doing the NIL with the Dylan Cruzes of the world, although he was here before that, right? He didn't transfer in, but the Paul Skeens of the world, I'm sure Dylan was getting paid eventually, but that's neither here nor there. You're leaving more for the Cajuns to get. So we'll see. All right. Because the idea should be in a regional every year and compete for a super regional. Well, because their schedule, honestly, is so weak. Their schedule is so weak this year that LSU is a quad 2 loss. That's how bad LSU is this year. That's a quad 2 loss. The Cajuns need LSU to win to be a quad 1 loss. That's how bad the Cajun schedule is. Right. And LSU really hasn't beaten anybody, right? Florida, Mississippi State, but that's about it. And their preseason schedule was nothing. Preseason before the conference was nothing great either, right? Like I think it beat Texas, but Texas turns out to not be that good. Anyway, so we're talking about the attendance, and so that's my concern is that the stadium hasn't drawn anybody new. And I guess I have different standards. Again, if this was your average Cajuns baseball team and you're drawing 2,000 or 3,000, all right, it's a little bit disappointing, but all right, that's a good reason they're not very good. But this is as good as the Cajuns have been since 16, and it's still less than 3,000 on a Friday night, less than 2,000 on a Saturday afternoon, and 1,000 on a Sunday. No one's sitting here thinking it should be 6,000 sellouts. It's just. It is what it is, as he would say. It is what it is. But I don't know. People want me to ask the Cajuns fans why they're not there, but the people arguing with me are the ones that are there. So you're already there. I just don't happen to think it's as good as it should be. All right. And I'm concerned looking ahead because, what happens if this football team is 6-6, 7-5, 8-4? You're going to get the same 10 to 14,000 fans that have been coming to Cajun games for the last, since 18, right? The difference will be, here's going to be the difference. All right. Little sneaky magic of TV. Everything is flipping. So the view is going to be of the Cajun sideline. instead of the visitor sideline. So that's going to be filled, right? That's where all the fans are. That's where the 10 to 14,000 fans are going to be packed in. So it's going to look great on TV. Not so good in person. All right. Unless they can draw. I mean, again, anything less than 25,000 next year is going to be disappointing. And here's the problem, right? There's not a draw, right? For football, you want who's the other team? Well, who is the Cajuns' rivals, right? You get Texas State every other year, Southern Miss every other year, and South Alabama every other year, right? I guess maybe Troy because they're the two-time defending champions, but that's every other year, right? No one comes for ULM, unless you're playing Coastal or App, and that's more out of hate than anything else, which is fine. But they don't show up for that either. So, I could be wrong thinking that those baseball crowds are good crowds, and maybe compared to, like Duke doesn't draw. I don't know about Clemson. I saw what Duke was drawing. They don't draw. They're a top team this year, right? My brother and nephew and sister-in-law went to Louisville. They're having a disappointing season, but they're normally a top 10, top 25 team. I don't think anybody was at that ball game. So again, comparably so, it may be okay. But to me, when this is the one sport that this and softball usually draws 1,000, 1,400. Like they're playing LSU back-to-back weeks. I think they're going to Baton Rouge this week, and LSU's coming across this week, and that'll be sold out, and that's great. But this is the one sport where the Cajuns are, one of the top dogs in the conference, and nobody new is coming to the ballpark. That's the thing, right? A lot of excuses, right? We don't go to SWAC games. It's a midweek game. It's a 5-week game. Weather and power outages are reasons, all right? But now Saturdays, all kids got all their activities, and Sundays we go to church. Although 1 o'clock seems to be late for church, but I wouldn't know. A lot of reasons, some excuses, but the Cajuns don't draw anybody new, and that's an issue. If I got a new football stadium coming and I can't draw more than I normally draw when it's when the team is ridiculously good, right? And I missed it. Did anybody see the Rage and Review pop the singing of center field in the 7th inning on Saturday and Sunday? Because I missed that. Was it another SRO crowd on Saturday and Sunday? All right. You'd be surprised who came up to me and mentioned I'm not wrong. So just disappointing. But if that's what it is, that's what it is. How you change that, I don't know, which is what I've been saying. But if those are as good as crowds as the Cajuns can get, then it is what it is. We're going to stop pointing it out and stop complaining. But there is a little bit of hypocrisy going on, and that's kind of what I called out. All right. Boy, we're rolling. Still got 44 people in the chat. Please subscribe on YouTube. Let's see. Oh, LSU is in trouble, right? So let's talk Tigers. I mean, they get swept again. They have had, I'm sorry to say, a miserable baseball season, right? They have been really putrid. They are 3-12 in the SEC. They could be going from national champion to missing the SEC tournament, right? Is their best win out of conference Texas? And Texas is 22-15. Like they haven't beaten anybody, right? Like the Cajuns are 0-1 in quadrant 1 wins. LSU is 2-10, right? Like they swept by Arkansas, 2 out of 3 to Vanderbilt, swept by Tennessee. It is so hard in baseball to sweep. Like A&M, they just got their first sweep of a ranked team since I thought 16. And for everything I think A&M is overrated, and this is Vanderbilt, they just swept. So, that tells you how difficult it is to sweep. All right. And what the Cajun streak is ridiculous, right? And so now, do they go to Missouri and sweep the Tigers? Does anyone believe that? This is where Jay Johnson, this is where coaching really comes in, because he's like, no more phones, no more distractions. You're not getting better being on social media. All right. Well, now this is where he's got to pump his guys back up. He's got to get these guys more confident. You can yell at them, right, and be upset with them and disappointed with them, but somewhere along the way, you got to get their confidence back up. Like, if baseball isn't a hard enough game already, when you're getting your, even if you're winning and doing well, it's still a game of failure. And now they are failing as a team. And now you have to go in and win 2 out of 3 to Missouri, right? As we've talked about, the schedule gets, decidedly easier. Auburn, despite being a 500 club, has an RPI of 39. So that'll help. A&M, who could be the number 1 team in the nation by the time they come into the box, has an RPI of 2 after sweeping Vanderbilt. Alabama, by the way, just took 2 out of 3 from Arkansas in Tuscaloosa, and LSU's going there. They do get Ole Miss. And so, if they win like they should, and let's be honest, who should they beat? All right. Their RPI will be fine. So let's say they take 2 out of 3 from Missouri, 2 out of 3 from Auburn. They lose 2 out of 3 to A&M, lose 2 out of 3 from Alabama, and take 2 out of 3 from Ole Miss. So what is that? 2, 2, and 2. So that's 6. So is it over 500? Because they only have 2 more on the road. Oh no, I'm taking 2 out of 3 against Missouri. So 2-1 and 2-1 is 4-2, 5-3, 6-4, 8-5. And I'm not doing the math right. Let's try that again. All right. 2-1, 4-2, 5-4, 6-6. There you go. And 8-7. If they go 8-7 in conference the rest of the way, they are 11-19. They're not getting in. Oh, again, they may not even get into the conference tournament. That is as great as as great as winning a national championship is. And last year's run was really fun. That's a little bit of a black eye. I mean, that happens to like Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Like, how do those teams just fall apart like they did? And now it's going to be LSU. God, I understand about trying to replace the 2 best players in college baseball, right? Like, your Friday night starter was automatic. And I heard somebody say that Dylan Cruz was just like average towards the end of the season. I mean, man, way above average. Like, before he was hitting like 500, finished at like 424. He was still really good. All right. That's really good. And they just, Tommy Tanks is doing all he can, but they don't have the shutdown pitchers. They're not getting the clutch hitting. It's a different team. And now, of course, you're pressing. Now you're pressing. See if you can relax. They get New Orleans midweek. Can't be losing those games. And whereas before, they weren't a big deal, and they probably still aren't a big deal as long as you win. Like, you have a chance if you take 2 out of 3 from A&M and take 2 out of 3 from Alabama. If you win the rest of your series, what did I say? If they finish 8-7, but say they win all of the series. So that's 10-5. What's that? If they win all their series, 10-5, they're 13-17. RPI wise, they still may get in. They're certainly going to get into the SEC. RPI wise, they'll still get in. That's the thing. If they go 13, if they just win the rest of their series, they'll get in because of the RPIs of those teams. They will be sitting in the 30s. Yeah, it is what it is. Also, the NCAA is going to want LSU in. Let's be straight, right? If they can rationale their way into LSU getting into the NCAA tournament, they're going to squeeze LSU in. Tough to squeeze them in with an RPI of 51. Their RPI will be better than 40 if they win the rest of the series. Because beating Alabama on the road will be big. Not beating Missouri so much, but beating Alabama on the road and then beating A&M at home. That'll be big too. All right, Pelicans, thank you for tuning in. 50 on the Schultzycast. Please subscribe on YouTube. Also, don't forget Apple and Spotify podcasts. We'll put this right up on the audio portion right after the show. Here's my question. I don't know if anybody knows this. Is this total of 51 watching right now, or is it just a total does it count? Is there like 51 people watching right now? It is Good Hair Day. We'll say that. So I don't know if it accumulates. People come and go. I don't know. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, Pelicans take one on the chin. Really disappointing. They made a little run. It was a 4-point game at the end of one, and then the Lakers took over in the second. I guess they playing bad lineups. I don't know. They laid an egg. They go from a 6 seed to playing Minnesota and having an outside shot of winning that. I really believe that. I wanted to be the 6 seed and not play Denver. Yes, I was being greedy. Now they're, now they got to beat the Lakers just to play Denver. Great. So I didn't want to play Denver because as great as Oklahoma City and Minnesota are, and they are fantastic teams this year, make no mistake about it, they really haven't been in a position of now we're expected to win. And that's a little bit different. And the NBA playoffs are a little bit different. Not to say that the Pelicans have any experience in that either, but it's always nice. The Pelicans seem to do much better when they are the underdog, going into Golden State and winning, going into Sacramento and winning. They do much better on the road, went into Phoenix and won than they do at home. And they did a good job of beating Phoenix right on the road a couple years ago, right? It was supposed to be good that Brandon Ingram came back last night, but the offense bogs down when there's certain lineups, and it just doesn't work because Zion and Brandon don't shoot threes and don't make them. So that's an issue. So it is disappointing. Maybe people are talking about tanking. Someone had a good idea. I'll have to find out who this was. It's an NBA guy. And you could have fun with this because teams were tanking on not to play certain teams, like trying to avoid the Sixers type of deal. And someone Evan Cohen suggested do the Lakers tank to avoid the Nuggets. So if the Pelicans win in the play-in tournament, they get the Nuggets. Great. So you could, if you win as the number 1 seed, you get to pick your opponent. That's a great idea. Is that an awesome idea? So that prevents the tanking. You don't know who they're going to pick, right? Right. And so the Sixers are odd this year because Embiid went down and now he's back. And, the Sixers are as much a threat to anybody, including the Celtics. But, you can avoid those guys if you could pick them. That's a sensational idea. You can hold it like an NBA draft type of, make it half an hour program out of it. Who do the Celtics want to play? And then the second team, who do the Bucks want to play? And who do the Knicks want to play, right? And so, like, the Bucks were avoiding the Sixers, I guess, is what happened. So, we'll see how long the Pelicans can go. Teams in the West, someone pointed it out, right? The Thunder have all these picks, and they're way ahead of the Pelicans right now. San Antonio is going to be a quick fix because you're going to get free agents wanting to play with Wemby. And I happen to think one of the two Pelican stars will not be on the team. You won't have Brandon Ingram or you won't have Zion. I would try to keep Zion, but I don't know who is more tradable, right? Neither one of them have the analytics, what you want right now. I don't know. Both of them are fragile, although both of them played a ton of games this year, right? Neither one of them missed a lot of games. I know B.I. just missed it with a knee contusion, but both of them were incredibly healthy, but they are not a good fit together. So I don't know what you can do, right? The best part about the NBA is, like with the NFL, it's all spread out from, you get the playoffs and then the Senior Bowl and then the Super Bowl. Free agency isn't that far away. And then the combine and then the draft, it's all spread out. Well, the NBA is like NBA finals, draft, and free agency. Although that's backwards, right? Shouldn't we have free agency and then the draft? Should we find out who we're signing and then we can draft? So it's kind of odd. They do it backwards, whereas football does it free agency and then the draft. So now we know what holes we have to fill. A little bit odd. All right, already gone 45 minutes almost on episode 16 of the Schultzycast. We will be at Cajuns Pressers. Cajun softball, didn't mention them. 2 out of 3 from Texas State. Outstanding weekend despite losing Sunday. First loss in the conference. But they beat Texas State 8-0 and 7-0. It's got to be so frustrating for the other teams. Like South Alabama and Texas State have these great teams and just can't beat the Cajuns. They just can't do it. We'll see if the Cajuns, predicted wise, they're not expected to host, which is kind of odd. NCAA softball really does it differently. Let's see what Warren Nolan has in them. Softball wise. See where they are. They were up to 12. They got down to 16 in RPI after the loss. Let's see. They're 17. Okay. They are the highest ranked group of 5 squad. All right. So the Cajuns predicted results. I mean, do they lose another game? Do we ever predicting they lose another game? They got them predicted losing 2 more ball games. Like, who's that to? Oh, they have them losing to LSU and beating LSU. So they have them beating LSU in Baton Rouge and losing to LSU at home. All right, so that's odd. I don't know. I'm not sure how that math works. So they have them splitting with LSU and then losing at ULM. I'm not sure I'm buying that one. I mean, I'm not sure they're going to lose 2 more games. They may lose, 1 to LSU, but that'll be a great matchup. It'll be two great teams. What LSU do this weekend, by the way? I saw they lost the first game to Auburn. What did they do? They lost 2 of 3 to Auburn at home. All right, so they're not happy. And then they're at Tennessee coming up. So, they finish up with Liberty. That's kind of an odd series, but that'll be helpful. So the Cajuns do finish up. I don't think they're going to lose more than 2 ball games. Maybe they lose both to LSU. That could help them out anyways. But the predicted results have them an RPI of 9. So you're really close to being a national seed. Now, let's see what the NCAA does, softball RPI, because I think in softball, they basically just go down in order. Like, this is the one where they just go down in order. LSU, by the way, is 4th. Cajuns are 15. So, they'll host. And obviously playing LSU is going to help their schedule. I mean, they already are at, an outstanding schedule. Right now, strength of schedule is 4th with non-conference schedule 2. And that's only going to, it goes to 8 and finishes at 2. Predicted results. Scotty Scheffler with an easy win. Some guys threw up all over themselves. I think Colin Morikawa have 2 double bogeys. Was that like 9 and 11? Ouch. That's not great. Let's see here. Golf. Scheffler's won 3 out of the last 4 times. Right. So that's, really impressive. Ludwig Aberg, he finished 4 back, right? Tommy Fleetwood's always up there. Is that me? Or is Tommy Fleetwood always like in the top 10, but never wins? Max Homa actually had a great tournament, shot an unfortunate, actually was 2 over par on the weekends. Let's see, where's his double bogeys? No, he had 1 double bogey at 12. But that wasn't the one I was looking at. Let's see. Colin Morikawa. Yeah, he had a double bogey at 9 and a double bogey at 11. So, at one point in time, him and Scheffler were tied at 6 under. Morikawa finishes at 4 under and Scheffler finishes at 11 under. Ouch. Yeah. Scheffler, I guess he's not going to play for a minute, right? Because, here's the problem. When is the kid coming? Because you're getting close to the PGA Championship is next month. I'm actually going to be in Louisville. My nephew is graduating the same high school, the same weekend as the PGA Championship is in the middle of May. How many bottles of bourbon do I come back? Do I pack a big suitcase? Dave, why'd you bring a big suitcase for, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, 4 nights? We have a washer dryer. Well, maybe we bring back a couple of bottles. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a tour. We did Peerless last time. and Evan Williams. We'll see if there's another tour in Louisville. The problem is nobody wants to go with me, and that's kind of, the whole idea is sharing the experience. My brother and nephew came last time. My nephew didn't like it. I find the history fascinating. The history is why I go. I mean, the tasting is great and buying a bottle is great, but the history is what you want. So, if the kid's not due for 3 weeks, is he gonna, the idea here is to, how to say this, get the kid out and hopefully everybody's healthy, and then, play before the tournament, right? The RBC, always the week after the Masters in Hilton Head, is this week. He's not playing that. Then you got the Zurich. Then you got the team event coming here to New Orleans. So that'll be fun. And I think Rory is playing in that one for the first time. So that's good. You got the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson. Okay. And then you got the Wells Fargo at the I'd say Green Monster. Is that what? Oh, the Green Mile. They call it the Green Mile. There you go. And so that's, 1, 2, 3, 4 events. Is he not going to play for 4 weeks and then head to the PGA Championship? And again, the kid wasn't due for 3 weeks. So if the kid's not due for 3 weeks, usually you don't induce unless it's, overcooking. Right. Past due. Let's, get it out. And it's the first one. So you want to be as safe as possible. So it's not so much about the Masters, but, have a week and he may blow off the PGA Championship. He may think, you know what, I'm good. I'll see you at the Open. That very well could be. And all of this is done by July now, right? Because they moved it because you get the Masters in April, PGA in May, the U.S. Open in June, and like the Open Championship in July, right? The PGA used to be in August, but they moved that. I don't know why. It moves everything up. Maybe out of football season, but football season, I don't know. I know it's preseason, but whatever. Boy, over 50 minutes. So great episode. We will be at the Cajuns presser, so we'll see who will we see? Deggs, and we'll ask him because I want. So this is always I ask this question, right? Especially football. How do you see that it was good offense versus bad defense? Well, the offense had a great day. Was that because the offense had a great day, or did the defense have a bad day? And if anybody knows what's coming, it's your own team because they're practicing against you all day and all week. So I don't know, is there a difference, right? Was it a missed tackle? Did he get beat? Was it a good move? Not being able to see it, you don't know. So how do you delineate? Well, the defense had a great day. Was that really good defense, or was the throw on the inside where the defensive back could make a play instead of on the outside when the offense was not good? Okay. So I don't know. So here with baseball, again, Marshall's lineup is just not very good. I can't imagine. I guess we can see here. Let's see here. If someone has a team batting average less than that, that's going to be very little, because I am shocked at that. They are not a good batting team. Yeah, they hit 229 as a team. So as great as the pitching was, we're not taking anything away from those guys, but still understanding it wasn't exactly the 27 Yankees. It's not even the 24 Coastal Carolina Chanticleer. So they just flat out struggle. The starting lineup for Marshall had like 14 home runs. Kyle DeBarge had like 12 coming into the series, something like that. It's going to be a little bit different moving forward. Although Georgia Southern doesn't have a good thing. That'll be interesting. So even a Cajuns Georgia Southern pitching matchup, Cajuns are 1, and Georgia Southern is 3. Now, is that because of who the Cajuns have played? Maybe, right? The Cajuns have played Marshall. They're dead last in hitting. ULM is 6th. All right. ODU is 13th. So they've played the 2 bottom teams, and they've played Arkansas State. They're 11th. So when it comes to who they're facing hitting wise, they have the number one part of the number one stats of pitching is because they face the number 11 hitting team, the number 13 hitting team, and the number 14 hitting team. And 3 of those series, or 2 of those series, were at home. All right. Now they get Coastal on the road, and really looking forward to it. We'll see if we can get the head coach of Coastal on the Lockdown Sunbelt. We will also revisit spring football. We've done 3 so far. Will Hall, GJ Kinney, and Ricky Ronnie have come down, Lockdown Sunbelt. We're going to see if we can get the other guys to come on. Some are, South Alabama, the Cajuns, they still got a ways to go, but still we're going to reach out to, Arkansas State, Marshall. We're trying to get all of them, right? 3 down, 11 to go. All right. Georgia State just wrapped up their spring football, so he should be available. ULM's coming on, but they got a ways to go. Hope I didn't miss App State, so we'll try that. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. An hour of the Schultzycast. That is, I don't have any issues talking, do I? Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe on YouTube. And by the way, down 15 pounds. I will say one package of Biscoff cookies, right? The kind you get on Delta Airlines. They're really, in Delta, you only get 2. I downed a whole thing on Saturday. I had weighed in as low as I had. So a whole package of Biscoff is worth half a pound. I found that the hard way, but I did a good job yesterday. I did lift this morning, but today's my off day for aerobics. So we'll see what I weigh in as long as I don't have any candy bars or crappy food today. I should be okay for weighing in tomorrow. I do after the Schultzycast. We'll go to Orange Theory and then weigh in. And I weighed in 214 on Saturday. That's awesome before the Biscoffs. All right. Can you get down to 210 in 2 weeks? I have Passover starting next week. That means I can't eat bread. All right. And anything that goes with that. Big question, was rice kosher for Passover? Can I go get Chipotle? Or will Chipotle just give me the chicken and steak without the rice? Could do that. Oddly enough, someone changed the rules about 4 or 5 years ago. Whatever. And I'm relatively kosher when it comes to Passover. Again, so the good and the bad. The good is you won't eat crap. No chips or, junk food like that. The bad problem is you gotta, let's just say, stay hydrated. All right. Because you eat the matzah, the unleavened bread, you gotta stay hydrated. But the things that I have on this, still eat my eggs, but peanut butter and jelly. So that's the snack. And then oddly enough, it's probably disgusting, is bologna and mayonnaise on the matzah. And that's, what I eat. And I will sit here and just have pieces of bologna with nothing and spoonfuls of peanut butter. All right. So good and bad. We'll see what happens, because the goal would be, boy, could I be 210 by the time May 1st comes around? And then by the time we go to Louisville, 205. That's kind of tough. That's like 10 pounds in a month. And I'm 205. That's 25 pounds in 3 months. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight fast. And really the diet is stop eating crap diet. That's the diet. All right. That's the diet. So I'm talking about my diet, and we're still going up to 59. All right. Thanks so much. We do have a meeting with the kind of thing I've been talking about that may or may not happen. I got a meeting today. So again, the proverbial ball is rolling. We'll see what happens today, and I will report back. It may or may not work out. So appreciate everybody that's watching. Again, please subscribe over on YouTube. Also, Lockdown Sunbelt. We talked about the Cajuns over there and the log jam at second place in the Sunbelt, and then a few spring football recaps, which, maybe we'll get some people on Locked On Sunbelt to talk about them, because we really didn't see anything that happened. All right, again, thanks so much. Just about an hour. It is a Schultzycast, episode 16, Acadiana Sports Show. Have a great Monday, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.